Hi, Coach Scott here. How are you doing? That seems like a loaded question, doesn't it, in 2022? Everybody asks you it, but I mean it. I am really interested in how you are doing because you clicked on this video to go faster, which means you're motivated to get fitter, to get stronger. There is one underlying metric that you need to sign up to make those changes, and that is change. Now, I'm not talking about changing your bike, changing your wheels, changing your saddle. Now, I'm talking about changing your behavior. Not just your physical behavior, but your emotional behavior as well. For decades as an athlete, as a coach, I have studied and worked with patterns of behavior that bring about success, patterns of behavior that bring about failure, that bring about a lack of motivation. Hey, you may be watching this and already have been there. You may have stood at the edge of the cliff and frustrated with where you are going. It may not just be with your training, it may be at work, maybe in a relationship. You've had enough. You've decided to make a change and you set about with this high level of motivation. But after a day, a week, maybe you make a month, you give up. You feel as if you're not getting anywhere. It's failure after failure after failure. You let yourself down. You become more frustrated. You may even try again, but you give up again because you have no structure. You have no pattern in play. You have no plan of how to make these changes, how to accept failure and use it as a launch pad to move forward. So getting fast is about creating a structure. So I'm going to share with you 5 areas that we can change today. So buckle up. This is going to be fun. Roll the intro. Do I need to say that? Okay, number 1 is nutrition. No matter what you're doing with your nutrition, you make one change. At least one change. Let's say you fall into the category of people, most people, 3 meals a day. Let's change that. Can you have 4? 5? What about 6 meals a day? Smaller meals, better for your digestive system. Maybe change the texture of some of those foods. We stay fully loaded in terms of glycogen levels in the blood, the liver, the muscles. So when you come to train, boom, you pack a punch. You can get a bigger stimulus, therefore a better adaptation. The adaptation is also better because you're well fueled. Let's start to look at your fueling on the bike. Don't fall foul of somebody who just says, oh, I don't need to eat. It's only a 90-minute session at a low intensity. Anything over an hour, I want you to look at 30 grams of carbohydrate every half hour. 1 gram a minute. Sometimes it needs a lot of eating, it needs a lot of planning, but you can do it. Remember that when we finish our ride, a lot of riders will jump to the cupboards and bring out their protein shake. You don't need as much protein as you think you do. Don't fall foul of the marketing experts. You need glycogen. Glycogen will delay and sometimes prevent the breakdown of those protein chains. Get the glycogen in. Even if you're trying to lose weight, follow nutrition for training and then nutrition for living. Clean up your diet. Stop having takeaway meals. Stop treating yourself just because you've trained. Cut down or eliminate all alcohol, not for a week or a month, 6 months or 12 months. Give your body a chance to see what can happen. Change is what is needed. Come on, you can do it. Number 2, let's get aero. Now this is too short a video to go through the full dimensions of drag and aerodynamics. But if you join the live podcast every Monday night, I do go through a lot of these points. And actually I'll leave a link for the last podcast where I talked about power to weight. Lots of good tips in there. But aero is not as difficult or as expensive as you think. What we need to do is to look at our position right now and understand that we've got to get our hands and our head closer together. That doesn't mean slamming your stem and getting super low. It doesn't mean a long stem so you can lean out because you're not that flexible anymore. What we need to do is to tuck in and get our elbows in. So let's look at our bar width. Do we need to reduce, get a little bit narrower? Let's look at our head position. Spending money on an aero helmet could be the best investment you do. Our head is, I was going to say large, but some people have larger than others. But it is the area that's fully exposed to the wind, and so are our shoulders. So let's practice. So that means after the bike sessions, you've got to get on the floor, you've got to get on the mat, you've got to start doing some strength work, some postural work. Sure, you've done a little bit, you do it infrequently. You've got to get consistent. You've got to build in 5-10 minute blocks every day, every other day. Start to do it, and after a month, 3 months, you will start to see real gains. You'll be able to hold your body in positions you never thought possible. I'm sounding like one of those sex manuals now. I can't guarantee that, but you will get aero, and by getting aero, you'll get faster. Number 3, let's get fast in training. Let's increase the intensity in the breakthrough sessions. Let's make a couple of subtle changes to the way that we approach them. Firstly, let's make them consistent. Can we make them on the same day every week? Maybe you've got 2 of these sessions. Can we start to add a different way of thinking about the workouts? So look at cadence, look at strength, look at your straight line riding, look at your body position on these rides. Start to try and introduce metrics that really do increase the speed that you will cycle at. Far too often, riders just focus on the numbers. Let's replicate the numbers. Sure, they will make you faster, but you've got to look at your skill level on the bike. You've got to look at your pedaling. You've got to look at your strength. Like I said with aero, you've got to do work off the bike. The harder you work, the greater the resistance you put through the muscles, the greater the inflammation. So unless you've got a full program of stretching, you will reach a plateau much quicker than the rider who's really approaching with a much broader mindset. Now, what about that 15% attic space that's sitting in there that you've never touched? Imagine I take away 15% of your monthly salary. You probably laugh at me and say the government does that in taxes anyway, and some. But imagine after that, 15% that you don't even see, but you've earned. You've worked for it, but you don't get. That's what's happening in the majority of people's training, that they are not able to go beyond that. The limits your body sets, they're pretty stiff, they're pretty tough to break through because your body's super clever and it wants to grind you down and life wants to break you. But you've got to keep going because you've become frustrated so many times before. So start to have this thinking about your training. Up your game. Stay in the fight for longer. Number 4, let's change our attitude or our approach to outdoor riding. Let's mix it up. Let's look for new routes. Let's take on that hill that you always avoid, maybe on the way home. Let's go home into a headwind rather than a tailwind. Let's really try and create stimulus that challenges us. Maybe you're lucky enough to get in a group ride. Maybe you can get in one that's a little bit faster than you can handle. Maybe you're already in one and you always get dropped at the same spot and you give up. Well, why is that happening? Why have you not progressed? You've got the mindset that you are the weakest link. You've got to have the mindset that failure is the launchpad to success and you've got to keep turning up. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep pushing yourself. Did you know that you are the luckiest person on the planet if you are able to ride a bike outdoors, push your heart and lungs to their max? You are fortunate, but you are so bogged down with the boss is an asshole, I've got a rubbish job, I'm overweight, my bike's not as good as his. All these obstacles, they're immaterial. You've created them and you've created this fabric of lies that's holding you back. You've created these excuses. I want you to jump out of the plane with no bloody parachute. How does that feel? And then someone come and rescue you. Okay, a bit extreme, but what I want you to do is to have the micro analysis of those big failures that you see and find the successes, because they're there. They're there all the time. Just push yourself, but challenge and change those outdoor rides that can bring about a faster speed. Number 5, I'm going to take a sit down for this because it's so important, but it's an area that very few people see as a meaningful training metric. They think it's just life in general. And what I'm talking about is stress. The stress of life, that oxidative drip, drip, tap every minute, every hour, every day, every week, that's continually building as we move through life. And what I want you to do is to look at things and see what we can change, both physically and emotionally. Sure, we've all got shit going on, but are you the person that uses it as an excuse or just thinks it's part of life, I've got to accept it, but deep down it's eating away at you? You may be a person already who's using it as a motivating factor to move yourself forward. The thing is, it's there. And in short periods, it can be good for us. A release of stress will get us ready for a race, an interview, something very important to us, but then we can wash it away. It's the drip, drip, drip every day that's damaging, and it's creating inflammation in your system that's stopping you recover. It's preventing you reaching your peak. Sure, you've got your muscles pumped full of fuel now, and you've got your mindset ready for the workout that you've addressed and changed so it's going to make you faster. But if you can't actually physically reach those numbers and then recover from them, it's of absolutely no good. So you need to face up. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your work, maybe it's a relationship, a financial issue. Try to create a plan that's going to allow you to move forward. You may not solve the problem, but even by addressing it, speaking to someone, getting some support, it will help. Because life is a struggle. If you haven't worked that out yet, then where have you been? It is a struggle, but you train because you enjoy part of the struggle. Yeah, you're on a journey that has no end, I'm afraid. You may be watching this and be 35 years old. Yeah, I'm talking to you, but you may be 80. That struggle never finishes. It's there and you've got to embrace it, but you've got to actually sign up to some things that are going to help you, okay? And by addressing that oxidative stress, that may just be the winning ticket. It may be the final number that allows you to win the prize. Give it a go. Hey, you can even send in your questions and it might even make the next podcast. We're live every Monday, 7 o'clock, Greenwich Mean Time. Also Wednesday, where we have a live workout. Hey, that workout might become your key session that allows you to go from X speed to X times 2 speed. That's not an equation for anything, by the way. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thumbs up if you liked it or added any value or even put a smile on your face. It will change if you even take on one of those points. Hey, remember, you keep spinning, keep smiling, and don't forget, anyone can train hard, but there's only a small amount of us can train smart. You stay safe. See you in the next video.